Greetings to all my viewers. That's a new segment, a new episode of Conversations for Hungary. And I am Milos Radvanyi, and I would discuss today the suspension of FIDESZ, Mr. Orbán's party, which is the ruling party in the Hungarian parliament, actually with absolute majority from the faction of the European Parliament, which is the People's faction, People's Party's faction. This week, the European People's Party bloc in the European Parliament suspended FIDESZ, the Hungarian ruling party, from its bloc, from its faction, and mandated that they cannot participate in the meetings, they cannot do anything, they cannot make proposals, and the representatives of FIDESZ cannot vote, they cannot be elected to any position within the People's Party's faction. The situation is the following. FIDESZ started its campaign for the upcoming elections at the end of May for the European Parliament by saturating Budapest and the entire country with a billboard which shows Mr. Juncker and the Hungarian financier George Soros. And the subtitle is that basically that if Hungarians would like to live under those two individuals, then they will have to think twice. And that obviously was done with a question mark at the end. And the answer was obvious for FIDESZ, and FIDESZ thought also for the Hungarians. The European Union in general, but also the so-called people's parties have been aghast with the billboard for a very simple reason, because the billboard to the Hungarians suggested that Mr. Juncker would like to rule Hungary, and Hungary will be controlled by Brussels, by the bureaucrats and unelected bureaucrats of Brussels, and not by the elected representatives of the Hungarian people. Mr. Soros's photo suggested basically, because Hungarians know that he's a Jewish individual, that basically Mr. Juncker tries to control Hungary, but Mr. Juncker is controlled by Mr. Soros. Taking into account the sad history of Hungary with respect to anti-Semitism, the message was clear that basically the European Union is controlled by the cosmopolitan Jewish lobby, and its representative, Mr. Soros, is the real power behind the throne, namely behind Mr. Juncker and the European Union. Manfred Weber, who went to Budapest and tried to convince Orbán to remove the billboards. It took a lot of time, but finally, Orbán relented, and those billboards were taken off. But at the same time, the rhetoric was not ceased. Hungary still is replete with anti-Semitic speeches, and as a result, the European Union, as well as the People's Party's bloc, called Hungary to the carpet, saying that Hungary violates the fundamental and basic values of the European Union and also the parties that involved. So basically, what's happening now, FIDESZ is out of that faction. They will also be disregarded within the European Parliament, and the choice for Mr. Orbán is to be totally isolated, or basically tell the European Union, Brussels, and also those parties that FIDESZ will change and adhere to the basic fundamental values of the European Union, which are freedom, freedom of speech, freedom of media, and the right of the opposition. Thank you for listening, and the next segment will deal with the sorry state of the Hungarian economy. Thank you for listening.